So I realized that I forgot the Sefer, so I'm going to today review the Chabad Minhagim, the Chabad customs for the month of Tishrei. I think that's a good substitute for learning the Maimon. We'll continue tomorrow. I just didn't bring the Sefer. Mitzvah, I'll have it tomorrow. So we're in the month of Elul still, and we're in the Yemei Slichos. When I was a boy, my father taught me that on Slichos you get up before it's dawn, before it's light outside, and you go to the mikveh and you say Slichos. The Rebbe, I'm not sure from the early years, but in the later years, I think the minyan was 7 o'clock, 7 in the morning, so it was already after dawn. I believe there's a concept of saying it still when it's dark, dawn time, because it says there's a chut shel chesed, a thread of kindness that shines in the world. But regardless, the Rebbe did it later, again in the later years. What he did from 1950 to 1970 to 80, I don't know. Yes.
It's just a technical question. Brachos and karbanos. How much does one need to say before? Should say before?
Brachos, all the brachos, all the the brachos through Erev, no, and also I always suggest saying the first parsha of Krishma, if not all three. That's what I do every day. Along with my brachos, I say all three parshas, so that in case I get caught up, I did the mitzvah of Krishma. When I was in yeshiva in my good old days, I would put on film for to say Krishma, and that was it was a whole debate in the yeshiva. But most balabatim don't do that for whatever reason. They don't have time or whatever. But at least to say the three parshas of Krishma. Yeah, but karbanos you could say afterwards. It's up to you. You could say it before. It doesn't make a difference. Before or after doesn't make a difference. Okay, so Slichos is pretty straightforward. Erev Rosh Hashanah, of course, the Slichos is double the amount to say at least, so it's usually an hour it takes. So, and again, people get up early, but in Chabad, I think today people don't rush to get up when it's still dark. They do it like 7 o'clock. Again, that's not the way I think it used to be. Just for the record, it should be, when I was a boy, it wasn't that way. I don't know how it changed, why it changed. Maybe the Rebbe wasn't getting up as early. I don't know, but regardless. Now, Erev Rosh Hashanah, we do Hataras Nidrei. Chabad tradition is to do with 10 people, not just 3. So, all other shuls, pretty much Litvish and Chassidish, they do with 3. So, even if you daven in a non-Chabad shul, if somehow you can get for Hataras Nidrei to the Bavitcher shul, you would have 10. Or if you can get 10 people to do, you have 10 friends, and take 5 minutes for you to read Hataras Nidrei, and if they're willing to listen, But our tradition is 10, not 3. Again, is it not accepted if you do 10? It is accepted, but this is the Chabad minhag. So, if you want to follow that, that's what you need to do. Okay. Pretty much everything else is the same. We go to the mikveh, Erev, Rosh Hashanah. Even those that don't go throughout the year for whatever reason go Erev Rosh Hashanah. Litvische Yidden who don't go generally through in the week, you'll find them in the mikveh Erev Rosh Hashanah usually, Erev Yom Kippur as well. Okay. Rosh Hashanah, the Tkiyah Shefer, I think I made a clip, and I think Avram commented. I made a clip with all the nusach of Tkiyah Shofar from the Rebbe Rashab that the Rebbe would sing and use, and I imitated that as much the best of my ability. If you can hear Shofar from someone who knows that nusach, that's the Chabad nusach. Again, and this is not even a tradition. In other words, the 10 verses 3 by Toras Nedorim is a minik Chabad, right? To listen to someone who says who does the Laman Atzeach and the Bin Ameitza with the nusach of the Rashab, that you can't say that it's a nice thing, and if you could get listen to someone that way, I find it more inspirational. But that's it. Someone wrote to me a note after they saw my clip that he says even in Litvish shuls they do that. I don't know. I haven't been to Litvish shuls on Rosh Hashanah. I don't know, but it's hard to imagine that the same tune they use. So I still need to investigate that. If anyone knows, let me know. I'm talking about Mina Meitzar Korosiko Ononi Bamerchavko Keili Shimo Gichazdecho Hashem Ki Mishpotecho, like that nusach, right? And then
like for example in Eish Kodesh, I've heard that seems to be a very
common.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Okay. The truth is I didn't investigate the history of it. Maybe I was told it was the Rashab's nusach, so that's what. But if after Tkiyas we do like this. Tishrei Yoidei Seru Adoshem. Is that what you're using for Ashrei after? Whatever, that was the Rashab's nusach. Now, as far as the blowing of the truas, 2, Chabad in general is mairich. It blows them long. In many others, they just do 9 and they stop. By the Rebbe, we saw, they say he did 36 or 42. It went quite a while. So to tell you exactly how many you have to do, I can't say that for sure it has to be 36 or 42, but definitely it's longer than 9. That I can tell you for sure. Another thing, the second day, Rosh Hashanah, the Baal Tekeya, in this case, when the Rebbe was blowing the shofar, he would have a new handkerchief. He would put on a new handkerchief around him, because it's a shaila with the shechiyonu, right? You make a shechiyonu. So the biyotzer, you would put on. I used to, when I blew shofar for a congregation, I used to put on a new shirt. I'd go into my office, and I bought a new shirt before Yom Tov, and I put on a new shirt. So if you happen to be a Baal Tekeya, you should know that you should have some new garment. Again, I don't believe it's ma'akiv in din. In din, if you don't do it, you're still yotzer. If you made a shechiyona without it, but it's good to know that. Okay. When you blow shofar for other yidden, which I hope you'll do, Rosh Hashanah is a time that after your meal, you make a fast meal. You don't sit for hours and yap and all that. You make a fast meal during the day, and then you don't go to sleep, because first of all, if you sit down on the couch, you'll fall asleep. Guaranteed. So don't do that. It's a recommendation. Get up, take a shofar, go with a friend, and go out to the street, go out to neighbors who maybe are shut-ins and others. I know that it's Bet Shemesh, and but I'm sure you could find and blow for them shofar. It's a big mitzvah. It's a big mitzvah. You'll be surprised sometimes. Women didn't hear. They're not always makbid. Sometimes, or girls. And you see a young girl and you ask, "Did you hear shofar today?" And she, might say no. Now, if it's a man, have them make the bracha. It's better if they make the brachas, and even if it's a woman, it's better if they make the brachas. That's what I do. If someone's able, I have them make the brachas. Okay? So that's as far as as Tkiyah Shofar. But at night in Chabad we just have the head of a fish, and we have tzimis, which is in Yiddish meren, to multiply. But again, there's no, you want to have the other simanim, but to tell you that the way I was taught is the head of a fish my wife has, and we have some meren, and that's it. Of course, the apple, the hirotzen we do. That's the way we were trained in Chabad. Yes?
Rabbi Dalton, I heard recently that the apple, I knew this, I heard it again. The apple has a special Kabbalistic significance in general. With the whole idea of the apple, we see it like Rabbi Ginsburg, like the title of his large, very big book on Chumash is like something having to do with like the apple. We have the lashon in like the tapuchin. So I'm just curious. You see in the Chabad Siddur, you see in the Zachari, that when it comes to the simanim, what's mentioned is the apple. So I'm just curious if
the apple is said Yehirotzu Shetiach Shonah Teva Masuka Shonah Teva Chadasha. I don't see in the Chabad Siddur any Kabbalistic connections at Rosh Hashanah with the apple. I'm not saying there aren't any, but that's not what's brought down in the Siddur. What's brought down in the Siddur is that the idea is the honey. The idea is the honey. No, the idea is to dip the apple in honey to have a shana toiva masuka, sweet honey. So you're saying, but why apple? So Taka doesn't say, but we know an apple is this pasuk is that to multiply or artich the pasuk. I forget the lashon pasuk. We see and then on corner. Yes, we do say in the Zmiroi Shabbos tapuch and katishin, holy apple. So there is Kabbalistic ideas. All I'm saying is that you don't find in the Alter Rebbe Siddur that when he says take the apple, think of tapuch and katishin. He doesn't say. I don't have a machzor in front of me, but I'm almost sure that that's not what he says. But yeah, so I'm not excluding that, Moshe. But I'm saying what the Alter Rebbe put into the Siddur when he shares a minig. In other words, he's telling us this is what I want you to. This is enough. Because you see, by this mirais, he does mention the tapuch and kadishin, what's brought in Kabbalah you referred to before, but he doesn't have that by Rosh Hashanah. To me, that there's a reason for it. In other words, right now you don't have to be a makubal or into Kabbalah. Every Jew should have a sweet year, and that's the focus of the apple. There's the honey. Again, but why can't you put an orange in honey? Why can't you put a pear in honey? So Daddy doesn't write, and there are reasons brought. I think it's brought in the Shulchan Aruch. But we shouldn't lose focus. The focus is the sweetness, the honey, the Shana Chadasha. That's the sweetness. That's the focus. Okay. So I mentioned that we don't talk much the first night. From what you need, you sing a niggin, you sing a dvar Torah, but conversations. It reminds me of a story that I heard from Rabbi Gordon. Maybe some of you heard it on his tape. So he says when his father and his brother came to Lubavitch, they learned how you're supposed to celebrate Rosh Hashanah. That the first night, the energy goes away and the world is faint, and like we don't know if it's going to be resuscitated the next day, and it's a very serious time. So when they came back from Lubavitch, they came back to either Dukshitz, whatever city they were from, I forget now, and they were there in Shul, Rosh Hashanah, and they hear one balabas, a Lubavitch is Shul, and they hear one balabas saying to the other, they're saying, "Oi, how much the fish cost this year for how much the fish cost? We have a head of a fish." And the other guy said it cost so much and so much ruble. He says, "Oi vey, the price of fish has gone up like we have now, inflation." And so they said we should daven that the price of fish should come down. That our tefillah of Rosh Hashanah. So the two Gordon brothers, they looked at each other and they said, "What? This is what you're going to daven for? Rosh Hashanah? The world is, we don't know if the world's going to exist tomorrow. We might not all wake up. And you're worried about the price of fish." So they said, they said, "Where are you coming from?" They said, "They're coming from Toiv Chetimim, from Lubavitch Yeshiva." And he said, "Cook smarkachas from Lubavitch." Smarkachas means, what's the word Josh used, Rabbi Gordon used? Nothing, like you're nothing. Smarkachas, I guess, a Russian word for like you're these what's the word in English? Like it's like you're a nothing. You little punk. Who are you guys? Two youngsters who are still in their diapers and coming from Lubavitch and telling us, and he said, what's important is whether the price of fish will be higher or lower. So it puts things in perspective. What are we talking about at the table Rosh Hashanah night? About the price of fish? The head of the fish on the table? How much it costs? It's inflation. Come on, so that's not, try to minimize that type of conversation. But again, if you have a guest doesn't know better and speaks about those things, in a nice way, try to divert the attention to something more spiritual. But of course, don't make it into a fight, and don't make it, what I'm saying, shalom and peace is, and if someone wants to talk about something and you try and you say, maybe we could discuss it after Yom Tov, and he says, no, I need to know now, discuss it, be a mensch. Okay. So, Rosh Hashanah, the tradition is, if you're strong enough not to eat before Tkiyah Shofar, not to even drink. Not to eat, okay, but to drink, usually people have a drink. So, and I say, if you're strong enough, I've told you there was one Rosh Hashanah by the Rebbe that I fainted. Now I don't faint. We don't have that pushing and shoving. Nevertheless, if you feel weak and you feel you don't have the koyach to daven, it's acceptable to take to say something to drink, and even if you need something to eat. But if you have the koyach, I know it's a long day. You don't finish till 2 to 3 o'clock. Rosh Hashanah, or maybe even later some places, if you're able to, you shouldn't eat or drink before Tkiyah Shofar. And the idea of making Kiddush in middle has been frowned upon, not by Hasidic Rabbanim, but by Rabbi Yo Henkin, a Litvish Poisik, who was passed on, and he was so great in Psat that Moshe Feinstein sent people to him at times. So he was a major Poisik, and he makes his pet peeve was in the literature world they have sometimes a break, and he was against it. Baron Kotler, I think, was for it, and he let him have it. He says, "You know Gemara, not halacha. I know halacha." and I'm telling you it's forbidden. So again, everyone to their own community, but just be aware that in Chassidish circles that's not done. As far as I know, actually, I think so. I don't know. I don't know if they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. The Lubavitch is not done. Yeah. Yes, Moshe. Hold on. You gotta take off you mute yourself, Yoini. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. What is the rationale behind not eating, like not making kiddush before the kids?
The rationale is that before you do a mitzvah, you don't eat. So whether it's lulav and esrog, I go early to the mikveh. As soon as it becomes sunset, I make the bracha and the sukkah on lulav and esrog because I want to have a coffee and a piece of mezainis. So I do it, The idea is, chavivas ha-mitzvah. The first thing you do is the mitzvah, not eat. So there's shofar and there's lulav and esrog. That's the idea. The idea of not eating b'chalal is brought down in Shulchan Aruch, even in Kitzur, l'schal al dam, the idea that... But what I'm saying is that Shulchan Aruch says if you're weak, you could eat something before. But over here, there's another emphasis that you're doing a mitzvah. The mitzvah of lulav, the mitzvah of shofar, you want to show your great love, therefore you want to do that first. That's the rationale. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
So in Oman, they have a huge kiddush after Shachris.
I just spoke about
Huge.
it. Rabbi Henkin would be turning over in his grave. He says it's forbidden. Now, what should I tell you? Everyone to their own. I'm not, the Bresler probably have their rabbanon. And they probably say that there's such a avodah, there's such a tiredness, and people would faint. I don't know, but I could just tell you that Yo Henkin was a Poisik, and this was his, he used to argue with the Litvaks, not with the Chassidim, but with the Litvaks, whatever. So I can't comment. You have to ask the Bresler Poskim, Okay. And basically the rest of Rosh Hashanah, in Chabad and other circles, we say Tehillim. It's a time for Tehillim. The Brisker learn your Masechtas Yuman, Yom Kippur, and Masechtas Rosh Hashanah. But Chassidim generally don't do that. They spend their time saying Tehillim. Now, if someone has a Shiurim, Chitas, Rambam, Daf HaYomi, you should. In other words, you're allowed to learn. I'm not afraid to learn on Rosh Hashanah. It's better to. But I'm saying, if by Chassidim, by Chabad especially, if there's a choice of learning or saying Tehillim, we say Tehillim. That's all. Again, everything. If someone comes over to you and says, you're not allowed to learn, just disregard them. They're totally whacked out and wrong. You're not allowed to learn sugar, you're not allowed to learn whatever Torah's Torah. Versteht sich, the emphasis is tefillah, it's a yom tefillah, so it's better to say Tehillim, but your shiurim kvuyim of Chitas Rambam, and if you learn Daf HaYomi, I would say the same with Daf HaYomi. You should definitely do on those days as well. Okay? So the only other thing Rosh Hashanah is we spoke about blowing shade of other people, and at the end of Yom Tov we have a Fabrengen, or they call it Nihos Achad. 1 second, where you say Chassidus. There's a mimer said in Chabad tradition. When the Rebbe was alive in Fabrengen, he washed. And he asked everyone to wash. Today, some do, some don't. At the end of Yom Tov, they say L'chaim, and they say a Maimer Chassidus. So it's an important thing, and I would urge everyone to go to a Chabad shul for that, because you're not going to get that. The Maimer you're not going to get in a non-Chabad shul. So if you want to follow the Chabad tradition, the minig, you should hear a Maimer Chassidus, and I assume that's generally in a Chabad shul. And it's toward, Mincha time, the second day, going into Ma'ariv. Yes, Moshe.
Yeah, no, just about Tashlich.
Oh, Yeah, what about Tashlich? So about Tashlich, it's best to do it on the first day, of course. But again, if a person is not well or it's far away, then you do it in the Aseres Yemei Tshuva. Some do it on the Kale Nu on the Midas. I think the sixth day is the sixth day.
On the Slicha of the Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim,
Right.
that's been our custom.
Right, but what day is that? What day? I think it's the sixth day, but whenever that is. But what I see is people go to the water here, But it's better to, if you can, you have the koyach, and it's not too far of a walk. Go that day. The Rebbe, before they built a pond in the back of 770, used to go from 770 to Botanical Gardens, which was a 20-25 minute walk, and everyone walked behind him. So he was makbid to go on Rosh Hashanah. So it's definitely better to do it Rosh Hashanah if you can. Okay? The next thing is we go to the Aseres Yemei Tshuva. The Aseres Yemei Tshuva in Chabad, we do not say Slichos except Tzom Gedalia, and that's not because of Aseres Yemei Tshuva, it's because of Tzom Gedalia, which is a fast day, right? So people always ask, do they say in Chabad Slichos during the Aseres Yemei Tshuva? The answer is no. So we get away with saying Slichos during that time. That's the Chabad minhag. And then we go to Erev Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur, everyone knows, is a special day. We eat 2 meals, halachically 2 meals, so it's like fasting an extra day. And, it's a serious day, and yet half a day is more b'merirus, more, the kav of bitterness and frustration. And the other half of the day is more b'simcha. The first half actually is b'meriros. The second half of Erev Yom Kippur is more b'simcha. You would think just the opposite. No, because Yom Kippur we look at, as we learn in Chassidus, as the day of the greatest tshuva and opportunity. So you look forward to being able to have an opportunity to have this great tshuva. Kol Nidrei, we take out 3 Torahs. In the Chabad tradition, I take out 3 Torahs. It says it's a big mitzvah to buy the Slichos of the first Torah. The reason for that, I've said in the past, but it's worth knowing, is brought in Shalah. It's a forgiveness for omission of seed, which almost all people have had in their life. So it's brought down in Shalah that buying the Slichos of holding the first Torah, or even if someone else holds it, but you bought the Slichos, is a tikkun for that transgression. So you don't say this out loud, but that's brought in Shalah. That's why it says in the Alter Rebbe Siddur, Liknois, the Slichos of the first Torah is especially special. One more thing, I go back to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah night, after Shemoneh Esrei, we say, Lama Natseach, Si'u More Menechem Urumi Bar Eila, that song. And it says that Ashab said that anyone that will have great kavanah during that, it'll be a segula for parnasa for throughout the year. For Bechlal, for brachas, but parnasa in particular. So, I think it's important to say that kapitel with great kavanah. Yes, Hillel.
I just want to go back for a second and ask about the Slichos. So the Chabad custom is you say Slichos between Rosh Hashanah, the week before Rosh Hashanah, and then not in the Aseres Yemei Tshuva?
Right.
Except for some Gedalia?
Right. We say Slichos this week and, and Sunday. So we say the week before. But not during Aseres Yemei Tshuva, no. Except Tzom
Okay.
Gedalia.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so spoke about the and at night the tefillahs. Oh, in Chabad we do say Tehillim, the whole Tehillim, after Ma'ariv Yom Kippur. There's nowhere to go. There's no meal, so the Rebbe would stay in shul and they would say the whole Tehillim, an hour and a half. It took them approximately. Again, says, if you don't have the koyach, whatever, say some Tehillim after davening. Also, we say 9 kapitlach, the minig of the Baal Shem Tov to say 3 kapitlach of each day of Elul. And then Yom Kippur, we do 9, I think 27 or 36, I think 36, 9. The last 9 finishing the 150 kapitlach. So that you do before you go to sleep. It's in the machzor. But that's an addition. That's different than saying the whole book of Tehillim right after Ma'ariv on the Kol Nidrei night. Okay, and then for that, even if you're davening in non-Chabad shul and they're not saying Tehillim, no one's going to throw you out of shul if you say Tehillim. Just letting, or you go home and say Tehillim, but some extra Tehillim should definitely be said. Another thing, and I don't know if you can't say it's a minig, but in Chabad shuls they sing Avinu Malkeinu. The Rebbe, when he came in Rosh Hashanah before Ma'ariv, he motioned they should sing Avinu Malkeinu. So Avinu Malkeinu is like a marching song. It's not really a marching song, but for Rosh Hashanah, Avinu Malkeinu. Okay, we'll continue maybe another day. What? With more minhagim, maybe we'll get to speak about sukkahs. We'll get to talk a little bit, okay? We will have a great day, everyone. See everyone tomorrow. Zaygas. Bye.
Are you going to go back to that mimer?
We're going to continue. I'm going to continue tomorrow. I didn't have my sefer today. Yes.
Okay.
Guys, just let you know, whoever wants a Calabria esrog, you got to order right now because they're selling out quickly because almost all the esrogim here are Otzer Bezdin. And the Otzer Bezdin ones are not going to be the greatest.
Okay, I'm going off. Zaygas and Shalom.